Welcome to Beyond the Design, where we dive into the creative journeys, unexpected twists, and personal stories behind the world's top interior designers. I'm your host, Craig Beaumont Flynn, and today we're joined with Alexis Vitale, the powerhouse behind Vitaly Design Group. Welcome to the show, Alexis.
Thanks for having me.
Well, let's
Excited
get right
here.
Oh, good. Well, let's get right into it then. Your career didn't start. I don't stop, so
Okay, good.
we'll just jump right into it.
All right, perfect.
Well, your career didn't start in interior design. Can you take us back to where it all began and what made you take that leap into the design world?
Yeah. Do you want the long story or the short version of this?
Tell us whatever you want to.
So, gosh, it's been all over the place with my careers, but I actually started, I think, I've always been in the world of creating and helping others. That's always something I've been super passionate about. So I started in kinesiology, believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
And I started teaching eating disorder, diabetes, depression classes. And then I decided after spending about a year or so in the working world doing that I no longer wanted to do that. So then I took a random, not kind of random, but big change in my career, 180, and I got into the craft beer world. So I guess you could say I'm always crafting something or creating something.
Yeah.
Crafting
sense.
beer. I worked with brands like Kona, those type of brands, Omission.
Mm-hmm.
But I started in the craft beer world, and I guess part of it is it felt like home to me because my family was also in the beverage space my entire life. So I watched that. So I got into the craft beer world, started working in that for a very, very long time. And then into it, I developed a clothing line and a nonprofit where we gave grants to families affected by cancer.
Girl, you're all over the place.
I know. All over, creating something.
Yeah.
But I did that because, cancer was a big part of my life, my family's story, my story. I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer at 26. So it really just kind of changed my outlook on life and like what I wanted to do. And a big part of that was helping others. And so that's why we created this nonprofit. After that, I continued in the craft beer world, found myself pregnant with my first kid. And I had to kind of make the choice. Do I play it safe, staying in the beer world, or do I continue the clothing line and the nonprofit? So I played it safe for a long time, stayed in the craft beer world, still had the nonprofit, but had to let the clothing line go. Had 4 kids during that time. And still needed my creative outlet. So while I was raising my kids, I started to dabble in design, and I would ride with contractors and designers for free and start learning the industry for about 8 years. And then I was just kind of waiting until our company sold, the beer company, before I jumped into this career, and also waiting for my kids to just be a little bit older too, because I knew it was going to take a lot of effort and a lot of time to make this leap.
Right.
But I think all of my business background in the beer industry, from the marketing side to the sales side to operational to, learning to communicate and work with clients, really prepared me for the design world.
Was there a specific moment when you realized, okay, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life? This is in my DNA to do this.
Yeah. I think my light bulb moment was seeing, life through my kids' eyes. I would watch them get those little moments of joy for discovering like the new things. I'd watch them fall yet get back up,
right.
And I knew that if I didn't follow this passion of mine, that I'd be teaching them it's just okay to be okay. That I would be teaching them to just dream and to only dream. And that's something where I knew I had to just follow that path and follow my passion. And it was really them that really inspired me to take that leap of faith.
Well, changing careers can be rather intimidating, especially if it's something that you're not started with or educated or, part of your environment. Was there ever a moment when you doubted yourself and thought, how do I push through this? How do I get it and become successful? And when was that moment? It's like, aha, I made the right choice.
Yeah. I think it's so easy for all of us to stay in our comfort zone, right? And it's so scary. And sometimes we let fear take over, and really doubt ourselves. But, I definitely had a lot of fear taking this career change, fear of, am I going to make enough money? I don't have a name in the design community. I didn't go to school for design. Are people going to take me seriously? I was also scared to fail because I didn't have a choice. I only could succeed. I was a single mom of 4, starting a new career, and there was no option for failure. So I think that, was extremely intimidating to me, but I knew that if I put my mind to it, that it will work out. So, and I was never going to give up.
No, it's good. Well, you have the passion and the drive, obviously.
Absolutely.
Especially coming from a different industry. How did you develop your design style and approach? Did your previous career influence the way you think about spaces and kind of overview and take the spaces into aesthetic feel? It's like, okay, this is what works. This is what I see works. And I mean, as a creative, you probably nitpick every time you go into an environment. It's like, why did they do this? Why did they do this?
Always. It's hard not to. You're like, what am I doing? Stop. I think for me, I believe my approach to design has always been very natural, and I think where it starts in my job is telling my clients stories through my eyes, but their voices, truly listening to their story, how they want to live, how they've lived, and how they want to transform. And that really inspires me to create a home that fits every part of their life.
Right.
I think my experiences help me be a little bit more pragmatic, creative, really understand how to think outside the box. And without those experiences, I wouldn't see life through so many different lenses. And that's really helped me with my overall approach to design.
Starting your own firm is a huge step. I mean, it takes a lot of effort. What were those early days like when you first started launching Vitaly Design Group?
I mean, a lot of pillow throwing. No. Frustration, like, oh my gosh, no. Definitely a lot of sleepless nights having a baby. You're up in the middle of the night, worried about every little detail. Am I doing this right? There's a lot of highs and lows, and you're also on this roller coaster ride, and you're like, shoot, sometimes don't take me down that hill. Like, I'm not ready. Like, let's go back up. But there's a lot of highs and lows. Running a business with now, especially AI, social media, e-commerce, all those changes, and also staying on top of that, all while starting a new career. I think with me coming from the beer space, I could sleep and do that job. But I'm getting into a space that was still not as natural for me. So that was hard. And so that's why there's a lot of highs and lows. And the processes are huge too with what we do, just constantly pivoting and changing our processes and, reviewing after each job. Okay, what worked and what didn't? And our processes, I mean, God, some of them are pretty terrible. And it took us 5 hours to do something that should have taken maybe an hour. So,
yeah. Well, your designs are all about making a home feel truly personal. What's your process for ensuring that every home reflects its owner's unique personality and story?
Yeah, you're right. Home is very, very personal. We get very intimate with our clients. We ask a lot of questions. We listen. And I think listening is the biggest part to truly understand them. I mean, we're in their space. We know probably way too much sometimes, but
very personal.
It's very personal, but we want to know your dislikes, your likes, like, God, if your husband's snoring or something, like, how can we make that stop for you? No, but, just all of that, it's important for us to just really understand our clients, to really give them the home of their dreams and the space that they can truly desire. And it takes, I think, where we are the most successful is just truly listening and seeing their vision.
What's one thing about being an interior designer that you didn't really expect when you first started? That's like, okay, I didn't know about this. This is something new.
The emotional journey of it. Honestly, the emotional journey of home was probably the hardest thing that I didn't really understand. I knew that it was intimate, but we're on these jobs sometimes for a year, 2 years, 3 years, you name it, 6 months, who knows? Mm-hmm. But our clients, we watch them go through death. We watch them go through marriages, through births. Recently we had a client lose a child, and it makes you get so impacted by their emotional journey because you're on it with them. And I wasn't prepared for that. And, you try not to take that home, but you do, because these people really, truly end up, being a huge part of your life. So,
I mean, as you mentioned, you took this journey and started on your own and coming from another industry, and starting your firm. Coming from another industry, was there anything that was particularly challenging to learn or adapt to in the design world?
Gosh, I think for me, I came from such a corporate structured background, and to be able to adapt working with contractors and subs and knowing that they weren't structured. In the corporate world, you are, okay, this is your deadline. You're going to get it done. And if you're not going to get it done, you're in trouble or you're out, right? Mm-hmm. We've got numbers to hit. We've got timelines to hit. And we've got timelines in this world, but as you probably know, and a lot of people in this home world, those deadlines get missed quite often because if we're opening up walls or there's a product delay, it throws those deadlines completely off. And so I think for me, it's like, wait a minute, we said we are going to finish March 1st. We're 4 weeks behind,
right?
So that has been the most challenging part for me. It's just trying not to be so regimented and structured and knowing that we're going to have a lot more pivots in this career, and also with people and how they run their businesses and how you have to, partner with them and work with them. So that was the hardest part for me.
I think, as you said, coming from a corporate world, everything is very structured. And in a creative field, you're more dependent on others in a collective. And it's almost like a domino effect, freight, delays, manufacturers, vendors, things like that. So it's like that time keeps on escaping,
Yeah. Definitely.
Well, what's a piece of advice that stuck with you throughout your career transition?
I think the best piece of advice is have your own board, right? Your own board, meaning your own internal board. Mm-hmm. So they don't need to do what you do. They don't even need to know that they're on your board. But maybe pick 6 people that you respect in business, that you respect in life, and have those conversations with them and keep in touch with them monthly, however you need them to be in your life. So you pick those people and you can talk to them about whatever it is that that those people are great at for you. And I think that was truly the best advice. And I've definitely kept an internal board and kept my top 6 in there. And sometimes it changes, as you go in your career. But I think that was truly the best advice.
That's a good one. Well, your design inspiration comes from emotions, landscapes, and experiences. Can you share an example of how one of those sources has shaped a particular project?
Yeah. Well, gosh. So we were working on this project in Manhattan Beach on the Strand, and your backyard is the ocean. So as you can imagine, that natural landscape is truly, truly inspiring and so peaceful.
Right.
What a dream to, and what a dream project to be working on. I mean, every day to have to show up and work on a home on the ocean, pretty lucky there. But
I'd move
so
in.
It all started for me with this piece of glass. And when you hold up glass, you'll see like how it illuminates in the light. And so when we are talking to our clients, one of the spaces we were creating in their home was this bar. And so I took this piece of glass, held it up in the window and said, look at how the ocean reflects, the light reflects this glass. So you guys love to entertain. So I have this crazy idea. I said, let's build your bar out of glass. And they're like, what? I'm like, hold up. Here's this block of ice. And this is where I would call it ice, the glass. This is where it's going to start, but let's see where it evolves. So you see how the ocean is rippling out there? I'm going to make this glass ripple. I'm going to give it this crazy effect. And when the sun hits, let's watch, the glass will illuminate and it'll illuminate those ripples. So it'll feel like maybe ice is melting. So then it became our ice bar project. So we started making these molds out of Italy. And God, I think I almost had a heart attack during this project. We made these custom glass molds out of Italy, and I've never worked with glass like this. And I had to call on this architect from Chicago who works with glass too, to really figure out, okay, how are we going to make sure this illuminates? How are we going to light up the back of the bar? All with this one idea of this ocean and glass and, anyways. So we created these custom molds and ended up flying in 2 tons of glass from Italy to create this bar. And it turned out incredible, unreal. And when you walk, I wanted it to be, there was always this house on the Strand and they had like a motorcycle in the window. And it was like, oh, this is the house with the motorcycle and the cool modern look. And I was like, I want this house to be known as the ice bar. When you walk on that Strand, you see it illuminate too.
Right.
And it's the ice bar. It's the house on the Strand with this crazy glass bar that illuminates and picks up the ocean and, and the way the light hits, it's pretty incredible. But
you achieved your objective.
I did. And pretty much definitely gave myself a heart attack on this one. And going through customs and dealing with that for the first time, I was like, oh gosh, just let's get through this.
Well, now that you've been in the industry for a while, how has your perspective on design evolved?
It's interesting. I think my perspective through design has really evolved through experiences, and I think of 5 principles when doing this. I would say passion being one, mental health being another, stability, emotional feelings, growth, and that all correlates and can be applied through color, materials, that we use, our lighting. And I think all of those experiences and experiencing how people have lived really has changed my overall perspective in design.
Well, like you said, color and light, they trigger emotions, and health and thoughts and things like that. So they kind of give you that experiential environment.
Yeah.
Well, designing homes can be very experiential because it is about personalities and someone's lifestyle in such an intimate and personal process. What's the most fulfilling part of what you do?
God, watching the joy at the end. I mean, building home is so stressful, right, for people. And
right.
I think I went into this because not only do I love to design, but I love to help people. And I think one of the coolest things I get to do is create home where memories can be made, stories can be told, and to watch your clients' joy and to give them a place of peace, safety is just so important. And I'm so incredibly grateful to be a part of that process.
Well, a lot of people dream about switching careers, but never take the plunge. What would you say to someone who's thinking about making a change, but is scared to start over and take that plunge or take that risk?
Yeah. Gosh, it is scary. Really, really scary is what I would say. No, I'd say start by thinking about that fear, like redefine what that fear is. Ask yourselves a lot of questions like, what is your motivation? Why do you want to do this? I think that's really important. And, ask yourself, what is my biggest fear? Is it failing? Well, God, if that's what it is, you already failed if you don't try, right? Is it rejection? Well, you're definitely going to get rejected once in a while, and you've got to be able to pick yourself back up. But again, if you don't try, well, you've already been rejected, right?
Right.
So I think, you're always going to have a little bit of fear, self-doubt, but it's so important to ask yourself your why. Why do you want to do this? Write everything down. Find a team that you feel, or a person, whatever that is, that supports you through your wins, through your losses, through your fears, and go with it. But I think a lot of us sometimes let things be too scary to make that leap of faith. But it's so important because we truly only live once, and our time is now. And, I think you've got to just go with it and rip off that Band-Aid, because you're never going to regret trying.
True. You don't know until you try.
You definitely don't.
You don't want to live life.
Get on that bike.
Yeah.
Leave those training wheels behind, guys.
Exactly. So, Alexis, what motivates you and inspires you as a designer and as a creative now?
God, what motivates me? A lot. I mean, honestly, my life experiences is probably my biggest motivation as a designer. I would say my life has been short of a fairy tale, from losses to falling on my face quite a bit to stumbling, getting back up. I think all of those challenges and experiences of life, and not just my other careers, have really shaped me as a designer, because what we're doing is we're working with home, and we're inspired by that. And I think I've gotten to see life through so many different lenses that have truly inspired everything that I do.
That's good. And inspiration, where do you get your inspiration from?
A little bit all over. I mean, a lot of my inspiration comes from being outside. I think spending time in nature, there's so much beauty around us, and that is so inspiring when it comes to designing.
Tell us a little bit about some of your current projects you're working on.
Well, there's a lot of different ones, but, right now we are working with this family, and we're redoing their entire home. And it's probably one of the first clients, I would say, that has given me full autonomy to be like, hey, we trust you 100%. We're not going to step in our house. Whatever you say goes. So I have to say, this is a really awesome client.
Yeah, it's few and far between.
Right. But, one of the things is we sit down and we really talk. And I think I mentioned, we've had losses. And one of the losses is they lost a child. And they have 3 other kids. And so this home needs to feel completely different, but keep his spirit alive in it. And so that's the challenge in this project is what do we do? And how do we make this home so peaceful for them and give them a fresh start? So that's a very unique and project I'm super honored to be on right now. And then we've got, we're working with a lot of families right now. So it's exciting. I mean, I love it because then we get to do kids' bathrooms and new babies are coming along and all of those fun things. So I get excited to do a baby's room because I don't have any babies anymore. But, and then there's the men that want their men cave. So it's like, so it's a lot of fun. We've got a lot of cool homes being built and a lot of great projects that we're remodeling. And remodeling is probably one of my favorite things to do because we get to work within those walls and have those challenges and see what we can create with what is already there. And then there's history. There's a story behind those walls from maybe past people that have lived there. So
if you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice before making a switch to interior design, what would it be?
Slow down. Enjoy the ride. Don't take life so seriously. I think that would be my biggest advice is truly to slow down, breathe it in, enjoy the moments. Yeah.
So what's next for Alexis Vitale and Vitaly Design Group?
Well, we're working on some really exciting collaborations and partnerships. And, we've got a couple of art lines coming out. So I'm excited about that. We'll be doing a launch hopefully by the end of May with some of that. So you'll hear more about that. And we also are doing a custom furniture line. So taking a very unique approach. A lot of our stuff is inspired by Ojai, California. So it'll be really unique, airy. Ojai is a very magical place, a place of peace. And so we're taking that natural, peaceful, magical landscape and creating furniture with it.
Nice. Well, congratulations and much continued success on that. Look forward to hearing it and seeing it. One material or color you couldn't live without?
Tile. I mean, if you ever go on my Instagram, you'll see our shoe stories. And, we pair shoes. I have an accessories problem, but we pair shoes with every tile. And tile is the start of every project for us. It's kind of the inspirational aha moment, and it starts to help us really transpire the rest of the home.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep.
Is there any particular style or aesthetic feel of that tile that you're
go-to? I think it just, it depends on the home, right? It depends on that. So, some of it's very funky and, and then some of it's very simple and classic. That just depends on the home we're designing.
Well, I had another question, but I think you already have the dream project where someone's giving you carte blanche, but a dream project or client?
Well, those people are the dream client, but a dreamier client would be unlimited budget. Let's be honest. And not just that, but creating a house that truly, when you find a client that speaks your language a little bit on how they live. And so they let you completely design, the way that you would want to design. Because what we do is we design for our clients. And through our, like I said, through our vision, their words. But a truly dream client would be like, give me an unlimited budget. Let's go. And you don't ever walk in your house. You don't know what you're going to get. And you're going to come in at the end, like, what is it? Like, Move That Bus, whatever that show is. And they get to see their house.
Reveal.
Yeah. Let me do a big reveal, please.
That's cool. Yeah. You rarely get that opportunity to do a reveal where clients step away and don't come into their environments until the very end. And that's always, it's like the give them the key and then see the surprise unwrapping that package. What's the best part about working for yourself?
That no one can stop me. That there is no cap on growth. And, when you're in the corporate world, you're always climbing that ladder. My ladder is endless.
True.
So
True.
I love that.
You are the designer of your own faith.
Definitely. Oh, I like that. That's a good one.
Just right at the top of my head. I don't know why. Sometimes they come
so good, though.
The hardest part about working for yourself?
Time management, balancing life. You never turn off. And so, when you've got 4 kids running around in sports and activities and you're balancing a career, which is your other baby, it's just, how do you find that balance of life? And, I think that's always been my challenge. So listen, I will stay here until 1 a.m. working on your home because I'm that passionate. So it's, how do I turn off? That is my problem.
How old are your kids?
7, 10, 13, and 14.
Wow.
Yeah.
You got a bunch.
I've got a bunch. I've got my own team.
Yeah, there you go. Hopefully they're not your critics too,
Well, don't ask the youngest one. She's my biggest. I know.
A designer in the make.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
One design rule you love to break?
God, I break a lot of rules. Just the story of my life. I probably break rules that I don't even know I'm breaking, to be honest. I just kind of design the way I want to. I don't really ever follow the rules. I think, like, for me, I would design, I just don't understand. Like, why does a laundry room just have to be a laundry room? Why can't it also be a beverage room? It's supposed to be multi-purpose. Isn't that the laundry room? So why not break the rules and have a little, like, bar in there, so at least you're having fun doing laundry?
Yeah.
That's the rule I like to break.
Storage of tequila. There you go. Well, Alexis, is there anything you'd like to share or tell our audience a little bit more about yourself and your design aesthetic?
I think I've said quite a bit, but, I'd say just check out our Instagram if you want to have a little fun watching some good shoe stories with our tile or some of our designs that we're doing. Watch out for the, furniture line coming out, the art line coming out. So that's really it,
So you mentioned shoe stories with the tile. How did that come about? What was the inspiration for that?
I like shoes. No, but no,
hats.
No, this is truly where it came about. So shoes tell a story of where we've been or where we go. And we can they take us places and on journeys. So you can remember those first pair of heels that you maybe wore on this date, that maybe that's where you fell in love. Those first running shoes where you ran your first marathon, whatever those were, the first shoes your kids, walked in. Shoes take us to so many places and tell so many stories. We never really think about it that way, but they leave an imprint everywhere that we go. And that's what we do in home. We tell a story. We share a story, and it all correlates in my eyes. And so that's kind of where the shoe story came about, was just, we all have our journeys. And so I started pairing shoes with tiles and telling the story of how we created that home. And those shoes are what we believe fit those tiles.
I just had an idea, a premise for a new podcast, shoe stories.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Let me be your first guest.
I like the concept and the idea, because it's very true what you said. So it's just taking it into a different interpretation of, and how you've incorporated it into the design world. But hey, there you go. It's yours to have.
It is.
Well, Alexis, it's been a pleasure to meet you today and have you on our show. Much continued success to you. And I look forward to seeing all the new things coming about.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. It was so nice to meet you.
Well, you take care and we'll talk soon.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to Beyond the Design. Subscribe for more inspiring conversations to our YouTube channel. Follow us on social media for updates and behind-the-scenes content. See you next time.
Hi, you're listening to a Pod for Good Media Network podcast. We are a network that provides podcasting production services and a supportive community in which podcasters can thrive. If you're a podcaster local in the Tulsa area, we would love to have your show on the network. If you are interested in starting one, we would love to help you get started. Find us online at podforgoodmedia.com and fill out our Pod With Us form. Happy podcasting.